Here are top 3 things that you can negotiate other than price when it comes to leasing a commercial property. People think that it's all about the price. If you can pay less on the rent, that's it. And that's all you're going to negotiate. Landlord wants more, you want less, and that's all you're going to go for. That is not quite true. You can actually have an edge on other terms and conditions of a lease agreement so that you can have a better edge. And both parties to that lease, both you and the landlord, can walk away pretty happy ever after. Number 1, it's the term of your lease. When you offer a longer lease, it will give you, the tenant, more bargaining power. You can use that to your advantage to pay a bit less in rent, and it can point towards it. But you got to have confidence that your business can last that long. So what is a long-term lease? Well, anything above 2, 3 years, I think is pretty good. Maybe 4, 5 years is a pretty long lease. 7 years for most of you out there will be a pretty long lease. When I say a long lease, leases are usually expressed in these terms: 3 plus 2 plus 3, 3 plus 5, 5 plus 5, 7 plus 5. Basically, the plus is an option. It gives you, the tenant, the option, but not an obligation, to extend the lease by the number following after the plus sign. So when you say, oh, I'm giving him a 20-year lease because I'm doing 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, well, guess what? Your lease is only good to the landlord for the first 5. So when I say offer a longer lease, I mean offer a longer lease for your initial term. Those options are only good to you, not to the landlord. Just remember that. If you're so insecure that you just want to sign a 1 or a 2-year lease, well, maybe you need to assess your business, because there'll be a lot of businesses out there will cost a lot of money to set up. So if you're planning to set up and pull it down after 2 years, well, that's going to be a very expensive exercise for you. You all know why landlords love longer leases, right? It means they can secure a cash for a longer period of time. So there you have it. But there are some things to pay attention when you are offering a longer lease. So stay tuned till the end of the video. Number 2, it's rental increase. That's right. With every commercial lease, there is what's called a rental increase. It can be, I don't know, 2% fixed every year, 3% fixed every year. Understand that these increases are compounding increases. Yeah, you might choose the CPI. People like the CPI, but as we all know, CPI is pretty damn high in the recent times. So if you're a tenant, maybe not look into CPI, but try and fix something that you both understand where it's going to go. Plus, the landlords prefer the CPI because when they show their lease documents to the banks, well, guess what? The banks like to see the natural growth of the property through the fixed increases on the rental. So in this case, let's say the rental was $100,000 a year. When it increases by 2% every year, in year 7, you're going to have $112,000 a year in rent. Whereas if you have 3% increases, you're going to have $119,000, almost $120,000 a year in rent. And accumulatively speaking, you're going to end up paying $22,000 across the 7 years if you went for that 1 extra percentage more to 3% per annum. When you offer a lease term up to about 3 or 5 years and upon the renewal you can do a market review, then this isn't particularly an issue. But flowing from the first point, when you're offering a term that's really nice and long because you're very confident about your business and therefore put in a fixed rate of increase every year, the compounding can actually build up, so you might be actually out of pocket quite significantly. Yeah, this is great for the landlords, and that's why they prefer longer leases, because they can have the compounding effect of rental increases every year. Make sure you negotiate the rental agreements in accordance with the length of the lease that you're doing. And if you're going to do a shorter lease, maybe you can give them a higher rental increase so that they can be a little bit happier with it. But the market average is between that 2 to 3% per annum. If the landlord pushes for a CPI, try to argue against that and say, hey, it's better for the banks to see a fixed increase than not. But that's if their properties are leveraged against the bank. But 9 times out of 10, they will be leveraged against the bank, and a fixed rate of increase will be the best option for you both. Before I get to the last point, make sure you go like, share, subscribe, ring that notification bell so that you can stay updated with a lot of investment knowledge and on commercial properties. Because guess what? Where are you going to find golden information like this? You get me? Hey, make sure you comment below if you have any questions as well. And without further ado, let's get to the last item on the menu, the rent-free period. Guess what? It takes time for you to set up your business. It takes money to set up your business as well. Make sure you ask for a rental-free period. The reason why I have to go through this is because how many commercial leases can you as a pretty average business owner sign in a year? Even if your business was really, really successful, could you maybe do 5 or 6 leases in your entire lifetime? Well, the answer is probably not. So not many people have a lot of experience in commercial leasing. So rental free periods, people don't know what to actually offer. But on average, it's around about the 10% mark. Actually, more pragmatically, it's around the number of months to the number of years that you sign in your term. So that's right. If you sign a longer term lease, it actually plays into item number 3, which is the rental-free period. So if you sign a 7-year lease, you might be pushing for a 7-month rent-free. That's a whopping half a year and more worth of rental that you don't have to pay because you've signed a really long lease. So 5-year lease, 5 months, 4-year lease, 4 months, obviously in the initial term. Not, you don't have a 7-year lease because you signed a 3 plus 4-year lease, okay? You have a 3-year lease because it's 3 plus 4-year lease. But either way, you can negotiate that. That's a pretty standard fit out / rental free period. So make sure you push for that if you're in a situation to negotiate. But the thing is, when you push for it, you probably need to substantiate why you request such a time. Obviously, by putting more into the property, you would want to stay there for a longer period of time. The fact that you made the property work for your business, you can make a case for the landlord, and the good landlords will probably want to help you by making you feel at home to stay as long as you can with the investment that you made onto the property, which could also mean a huge improvement onto the property for the landlords as well. So they should incentivize you with that kind of rental-free period. By this time, a lot of landlords might be really pissed off at some of the things I'm saying right now, but guess what? I do this so that you can have a tenant, because happy tenant, happy landlord. Obviously, there is like a million other things that you probably should know about commercial leasing. And yeah, it's not everyone's cup of tea. Probably the best thing is get somebody to represent you. If you're in Australia, I can help you out in most markets. So hit us up. You know all my details down below. Yes, I love talking about crypto, but look, this is my daily trade, so I can help you. And you know what? Maybe a 30-minute conversation might be something that saves you between $10,000 and $20,000. Like this guy that I talked about in the rental increases section. He was going to pay $20,000 more across the 7 years, right? And I helped him save that because we did a negotiation. So make sure you do your research if you are going to do it by yourself, and make sure you make an offer that is appropriate with your business plan. And so check out this video to learn more about commercial properties, where I do something crazy like, oh wait, turn into my street. Oh.